Hello, guys. How are you? Cryptex here. Tonight we have Peggy O. How are you, Peggy?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. Happy to have you here tonight. First
I'm
time we
happy.
do something together. We had a
Yes.
couple of interactions in another chat, so in your chat, in my chat, but this is the first time we do something together. So it's so cool to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and sorry guys in the chat, I had some problems with the internet, so I had to move from one house to the other house. So now everything seems to be all right. So let me just say hello to the guys here in the chat, Peggy. We have Critical True Crime. Thank you for being here. Daisy asks from Australia, how are you, Daisy? We have Fishy, so people are starting showing up. Luis Cuevas, how are you, Luis? So I'm gonna start with the standard questions, Peggy. Um, Tell me something about you, about your channel. How did you start covering Delphi? What are your main theories, if you have a theory, or let, let us know something about you.
Yeah,
I'm sure everybody here knows you, but I wanna hear it from you. You know.
no problem. Yeah, so I'm Peggy O. I have a small channel. I started doing live streams, I want to say a little bit after the holidays of last year. I've been following Delphi since 2017. I used to live, I would say, relatively close, about 30, 40 minutes away. I have two little boys. Well, now they're not so little anymore, but my oldest was 12 at the time, just like Abby and Libby, or 12, 13. And it was really scary. It was really scary. I mean, even though being that distance away, there was just somebody in the area that
Sure.
essentially, if I thought this would be solved right away. I mean, it was just when they released the photo, there was a lot of the rumors that it was, a trail cam, or but like, how many cases do you have where you have the suspect on, at least an image of them?
That's
So,
insane.
um, yeah, it is. And I just started following here and there. I joined a couple, I think a Facebook group that was a little bit crazy. And then I started really following it on Reddit. So I was more of a Redditor. And I just really started picking up right around, the rest time. And I decided, hey, why not? I'll try this. I'll try doing my own live stream. So here I am.
Cool. And why did you decide that? Because you didn't like something that was happening in YouTube, or someone was not paying attention to you, or you felt that you had the need to tell your own story about the case?
Yeah, I think it's something I've been very passionate about. And I think I started right around the time where there were some creators that kind of took a step to the side, which I totally understand why now. Wasn't judging them on it. I did started doing some live streams with Curious Contrarian a little bit, so I had a little bit of familiarity. Oh my goodness, I can't speak with it. Doing the live streams, and I just wanted to really look into it more and provide my perspective, whether it's correct or not. I just wanted to have a voice.
Cool. What happened to Curious Contrarian, Dan? He's not doing any content anymore, huh?
Yeah, I don't speak with him anymore. I do speak to some people that still is in touch with him. I heard he's doing well. So wish him the best. I think he might have decided it was not for him.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
was just tired of the drama, maybe. I don't know.
Mhm.
Okay, you were talking about your perspective. Tell us about your perspective in this case. Do you have a main theory, positive theories? some theories that definitely you said no, this is far-fetched. What what what's your
I
take?
don't know. It's been evolving, over time. I was really in the camp of Richard Allen is innocent for a very long time. I do love to research, so I've gone down rabbit holes, prior to that, and looking at the probable cause. It's just like like this, this is crazy. Like what, and just waiting for more information. I want to say where I took a turn and started leaning towards, hey, this is the guy, and which I now question as well, is when I heard, just like watch his interaction within the interview. And also I thought his voice sounded like him, but I mean, now come to find out that audio was manipulated too. And then all the information with what is coming to the light about this investigation and all the, it just seems like a bunch of lies and a little bit of truth here and there, but just a lot of, gaps. I'm, I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously, right? So I think there's very few people who can say they know what had happened or, if he's guilty or not. I can say I did attend trial for one day. I'm so happy I went.
Were you there? I didn't know.
Yeah, I went on one day. I did it. I think it started out with Betsy Blair. I've seen Stacey Eldridge that day. I think I forgot the psychologist that the defense had. But I can tell you, like, I tend to lean, more towards the defendants because I just totally believe in our Constitution here and due process. And there's no way I could have convicted him based on, going through, and I can say that now because I've read all the transcripts. And it's just that the ballistics or whatever you want to call it was so subjective. It's just, there's really no solid evidence other than really somebody identified a man from a video that is green, the pixels are horrible. Like I don't know how anyone could identify anyone based on that
100%.
video. So I'm sorry, I'm rambling here. So.
No, cool. I love that. I love rambling. Tell me about that experience. It's interesting. How was the vibe in the courtroom? How did you feel there? You were close to which people? Did you talk to some personalities? How was Betsy Blair? Tell me everything. I'm very curious about that.
Anyone. I wasn't creating content at the time, but I was well enough known not to say, who I was. So it's funny because I did not have any expectation to get into that courtroom. I did not stand in the line. I got in there by complete luck. I had showed up and I was just going to join Piper. I had made a sign to stand in front. And I thought, you know what, let me try. So I parked down where the Riley Park. I got some good advice from people. Hey, park at Riley Park. So it was a really quick walk. And I just went in there. There was no line. I went up. I didn't even know what floor it was, but I just went up. Actually, I went in the wrong staircase because there was a family staircase and another one. And I got to the end and I said, hey, is there any room in there? A closed mouth don't get fed, right? So I said, hey, and they went in and the guy came out and did the number one. And I just felt like I'm not prepared for this completely. Like there was I didn't think I would get in whatsoever. I hope I didn't steal somebody's seat. So anyway, I got in there and I was just soaking it all in. So I sat on I think the defense side. And I was able to see the jury. So I was so the jury kind of dips in a little bit. So there was a couple people on the end, you can just you're almost parallel to them. But I did notice how Judge Gull, like, if you've seen other people report on her, the whole time, her head's up and she's just staring at the gallery, and making connections, like who
Really?
is everybody, and just making observations. I can say the acoustics in there was horrible. It was hard to hear. There was a lot of exhibits passed around in paper form. So, we weren't allowed to. This was actually after Burkhart filed her original action. So I knew, like, I was like, I'm not even going to try to go up and try to look at what was being presented. Yeah, it was just, so I seen some of the YouTubers there. I did make it. I got right into line again on the afternoon session. So I barely made it there. I sat next to Auger's sister, and I was 2 seats away from Fiend. So it was just unreal. I didn't think I would make it. So it was just a total bonus. I thought I was going to be out in the rain. It was raining that day with my sign.
Wow, cool. That's so cool. How
Yeah.
was the testimony of Betsy Blair? Well,
So
tell me about Betsy.
yeah, I think this was the second time around she
Just
testified.
just 1 second.
Okay.
Your dog behind you is just awesome.
She
I
wants
love
to
him.
get out. Yeah, that's the female. So that's not. I have 2 huskies. So
Okay.
that's not I know our dogs went through a surgery around the same time. That's the female. So let me let her out of the door. I'll be right back.
No, it's cool.
Okay. We'll probably hear her scratching on the door in about 10 seconds. So yeah, I mean, she was soft spoken. I thought she looked really well for her age. It was hard to hear, but I felt like I didn't feel like she was trying to sell anything while she was up there. I think she was genuinely trying to
credible.
The truth.
Okay. And according to her testimony, do you think she was observing a different guy, the young British guy, or not really?
I don't recall if that was because this was their second time. So this is when the defense recalled her. I'm trying to remember exactly what she said. I don't think I was swayed either way about it. I didn't feel like she was being very vocal on the defense side, though. Like wasn't saying this is not the guy. Just the way she was talking. I think she was just trying to answer the questions as a matter of fact, but not going overboard with trying to sell that portion of it.
Okay. Oh, that was cool. What an experience.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And if we talk about the case from your perspective, let's say today, do you have a main theory, an angle that do you think is the most plausible, let's say? Or what's your position today? First of all, before going to that point, what is your position in regards of Richard Allen? Do you think he's guilty, he's innocent, or involved, or you don't know?
I don't know at this point. I think it's just as possible he may be involved than not. But when I could tell you about my observations of him when I first seen him in the courtroom, and keep in mind when he was standing up, there was I think it was U.S. Marshals around him, and these guys were very tall, very big. But when I first seen him, I said there is absolutely no way could he have, I do believe the girls were moved, right? And it was like, there's no way he could pick them up or, and just the timeline now going through it is just so tight. I personally believe whoever's responsible for this was out of there by like 4, they were gone. Whatever theory you want to look, 4 o'clock. I don't believe in Sarah Carbow's story whatsoever. That is just ridiculous. Because just like the location of, and I went on 300 too. So right after court, I wanted to go to the trails, and I went down 300. I was really interested in the cell tower. I know, there's been some people that say, no, that tower, wasn't active at the time, but I just wanted to see, is there even a camera on this tower? Right? Because we don't, I know that we're way, 5 years later or 6 years later at this point, but I just wanted to look at it. So I took some pictures of it. But anyway, going back to being on 300, that road is so narrow. Like I surprised that there's not cars side swiping each other there. So I just don't, if Richard Allen was that, like, that would be the dumbest thing for anyone to do, first of all, to walk down this road, because the majority of it is open. It's open. I mean, there's an area where there's bushes, but when you get past those bushes, it's just, there's a field, and I just like, okay, there's just no way that he could have gone unnoticed, especially of the group that was, if we believe the state's theory, there's a group in the mayor's lot congregating, and they would have seen him. Even if he walked behind the Hoosier Harvest or the mirrors, like he would have been noticed, I believe, because it's open. It's an open field over there.
For sure. What time of the year you were there?
So it was, I think I went November. I have the worst memory. November 2nd is, I know it was November. It was in November. So there was no leaves on the trees or anything like that. There wasn't no snow at the time either, but yeah, November.
Fishy is asking, was there a lot of traffic?
No, because I got out of my vehicle, and I had to pull on the side. So I was kind of worried about that, like, because I had my hazards on. And I did not see one car whatsoever passing me around, and you can hear very well in that area. It was just like you could drop a needle and hear something. Okay. So no, I did not see any vehicles whatsoever.
When I was telling you about your dog, it's because I love watching your dog. I didn't expect you to take it out.
Oh, sorry. She'll be back in. Trust me. This one is attached to my hip. The other one is kind of the male. He'll be like all nice and cozy.
It must be expensive. It must be expensive to feed those dogs, no? They're big.
Yeah, well, she's I think under 50 pounds, but my male is 88 pounds. So yeah, he's a bigger boy.
Cool. Did you go to the bridge?
I was going to, but it was getting dark at that time. And then, I was like, there's still a, person on the loose. And I was just, I'm like, if I would have had somebody with me, I would have. But I was by myself. So I was like, okay, that's probably not a good thing to do.
I'm going to ask you some questions that I ask every time to all my guests, because I'm very repetitive, but I think that those questions are interesting, are relevant. Everybody thinks differently. So I want to see what are your thoughts about that. Let's start with the sticks. What do you think about the sticks? What is the significance of the sticks in your opinion, if you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sticks meant something to the party or parties that were involved. I kind of go down like maybe the undoing, only because the placement over the neck area. But I mean, then you would just have 2 sticks, right? And it was a lot more than that. So it was disturbing. I think whoever placed those sticks would, in my opinion, have some sort of like it, it was a more of a meaning than an undoing, actually, because it was the arrangements of the sticks. I do think that Abby was moved again at some point. I don't know if it's by the searchers or what. I think the sticks were more like a cross, and she could have been turned, and then it moved to the side. But they're very disturbing at the very least. Like I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, I
Doesn't
agree
look
with you.
realistic.
I have the same idea. I think
Mhm.
the sticks are symbols, signatures, maybe. I
Mhm.
don't. It's something that it's important for the killer or killers.
Mhm.
I don't see. Some people say that the sticks were placed to conceal the bodies. I
Oh
don't
no,
subscribe to that theory. I think it's far-fetched or
no.
unlikely, let's say. Uh, do you think that the sticks may be runes or not?
I do think they do look like runes. I do. I think they could
Okay.
be.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, that was my first
How about you?
question.
Do you think they look like runes?
No, not
No?
at all. No, I think it's some type of a signature. It's some type of
Mhm.
symbol. I'm on vacations this 2 weeks. This is my last week here in Colombia. Last time when I was here, I did an interview with an Odinist. He knows a lot. It was crazy to find an Odinist here. And that was one of my questions. That I showed him the pictures of the crime scene, and he told me those are not runes. That could be maybe a combination of runes, but he didn't see it. So uh, even between Odinists, there's not a consensus. It's not. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know if I'd go more like from Odinus. I think that property is I think there's something there that really is meaningful to whoever is responsible. I think, if you look at the history of that land, I could see some spiritual components to it, whether it's Christianity or
Satanism.
a Native American or indigenous piece to it. I think it is very, like, I can't explain it, but I think that, it's something spiritual, whether good or bad. Well, bad, obviously, right?
Yeah, it's very strange, and you made a very good point. I talked about that also in my previous lives. The fact that the sticks are placed on the throats of the victims. That's one main element to say those sticks were not placed there to conceal the body. So you're not gonna conceal a body just by placing sticks
No,
on the injury. Like the
no,
sticks were placed on purpose to
yes.
signify something.
It was a message or something. A message or something to I mean, if you wanted, why not leaves? There was tons of leaves there. Why not, And people could say, "Oh, the leaves might have blown off." No, not if you layer the sticks with the leaves, right? That
Exactly.
is not a good method even if you want to go down that rabbit hole, which really isn't, but you could say, "Well, why place them where you place them? Why not move them if you wanted to conceal, right?" Could have moved them, like, behind the other, not far, but it'd have been a better placement to conceal.
100%. I agree with you in that sense. Okay, another standard question here. Uh, one killer, multiple perpetrators. What's your
Multiple.
idea and why?
I think it was multiple. I think there's more than one person involved. It was just like I said, going back to the timeline. I think they were lured out there with the lack of evidence, even though the investigation really didn't help to preserve evidence, but still, like, the phone data, the way the phone was acting, a lack of, and we do know that there's multiple other phones in the area at that time. I do think there is definitely more than one person involved in this, and I have my eyes on some of them.
Tell me about that.
Well, I find McCain to be, and this is all, I'll put a little disclaimer for you for entertainment purposes, and this is pure speculation. I believe that McCain has got the most to benefit from this. If you want to look at, motive, right? And I know motive is not always required, right? But I mean, the fact that his whole family has had a presence on that land. He's trying to acquire the land. Now he owns the mayor's property. I think like and all the millions of dollars that have poured into that area, whether he was strategically planning it or if he did, maybe I don't even have to reach that much. I think he knew what was going on because he was in that area, and he went on stands that he doesn't know which way he left, and it's just his timeline doesn't really, first, what was it, 1 to 3, then 2 to 3, it's like he wasn't being very helpful. I think there's more of a nexus with McCain being there. He was on the bridge too. And it's just really suspicious that the investigation didn't really pursue that angle more, even when Betsy Blair picks out his vehicle. It's like, I don't think he's being truthful where he parked. So, yeah, I just like, if I had to pick anyone, I think, most likely him.
And we can see that the McCains were really close to law enforcement. In my theory, which, this is my theory, it's, again, also speculation.
Uh-huh.
I think that Kegan Kline, he made a negotiation with law enforcement. And I think that the holy grail of this case is the Dropbox of Kegan Kline. And I say that there's there's someone with power in that Dropbox, someone close to law enforcement, some politician, some influential person in that area, and McCain, he fits that profile, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. It feels like he was not fully investigated, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're talking about McCain, and maybe you know more about him than me. I was not very into the McCain's angle, but I remember that at the beginning of this case, it was said that McCain, he crossed Bridge Guy. Is that correct today or not?
There's some confusion with that. I did see that out there. And then I think there's a big Daniel Pearson component to that, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I know that there was someone that crossed him, and then I'm not positive if he did or didn't. I would think that the defense or somebody, at least Nick, would have asked that, hey, did you see? And he wasn't asked that. So that's interesting, though.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to ask you something. I lost my brain here. Give me 1 second just to put my stuff together again. So we were talking about the McCains, the fact that he made. I'm lost. I wanted to ask you something, and anyways. So you told me multiple perpetrators. The sticks are signatures. I'm gonna go with another standard question while recalling my original question. Crossing the creek. Do you think that the girls, they crossed the creek or not?
I do. I do think that they crossed the creek.
Both of them?
I don't think they were brought back. At least, I think they at the very least, I think they did pass there, like they were, unalived there. And then I try to think, why would somebody unalive them somewhere else and bring them back to this location? It's really risky to me.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just me trying to make sense of sense of it. I just think that, yeah, I mean, like, why didn't anyone see them? That is a big mystery to me when they were searching in that area. But I do think that they crossed. And I know that from what I've seen, like, there was levels of the creek that wasn't very deep at the time. I know that their shoes doesn't look like they're very dirty, but I think that they were cleaned. Like, what bothers me the most actually about the whole photos that I've seen is Abby's hands. That to me is very, like, they're tucked in, kind of like when you have a baby, you have put those mittens on there so, like, they don't scratch their face or anything. But the way her hands were, like, preserved and just so clean, to me, it's like, okay, this is kind of where I go with another person too. Why didn't she have blood on her hands? Because that is obviously a natural reaction. So either you're being held down or you're, passed out. I know.
I don't have the picture in my mind right now, but can we see the hand? The hands are not inside.
Yeah, but you can't see the hand. They're all tucked in. So, like, for example, they're like this.
But how can you know if there's blood or not in their hands?
I think it's based on the testimony of what is his name? Dr. What's his name? I can't think of it. It's not, is it Core or no? Or is Core the other one? But yeah, I mean, like, the hands, they didn't have blood on them from what I've heard. I think that's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I think that was the question I wanted to ask you at the beginning. The fact that both girls were treated really different.
Yes.
That's also an interesting element here in this case. To me, that points to multiple perpetrators again, potentially. And also the motivation. It's like, I don't know, all the rage from the killers went to Libby. What do you think about that?
Can you repeat the last part? I apologize.
Sorry.
Last part of your question.
Yeah, it seems, or it feels like all the rage from the killer went to Libby, not to Abby.
Yeah, that is interesting, and that's kind of where I kind of lean towards Kegan, or however you want to pronounce his name, being involved in some way, because he had contacted Libby and exchanged conversations with her. So I don't know, but you are right about that. Like, that is very bizarre. Like, one, it looked like preserved, pristine in a way, and the other one, it looks like they were treated, like you said, treated very differently. And I don't know. I mean, there could be a lot of possibilities, right? Maybe Libby did fight back in some aspects of it, or tried to call, or, I don't know. It's very difficult to explain. That is for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So you were talking about Kegan. I think it's Kegan, but I call him Kegan. What do you think about the Kegan Kline's angle?
I think I agree with you about the Dropbox. There's something there with the Dropbox. I think he is involved. It's hard to. He lies all the time too, right? And if you look at the transcripts, the police can lie to him, so it's kind of hard to figure out what is the truth, what isn't. I think the Emily Ann account, I know it's been said that it was being used to kind of help bait, or get his victims, but I see it more of like, that is the account that he's communicating with other pedos to try to, either sell these photos or something. I think he's what's the word I'm looking for? Like a scammer, Yeah. Like a hustler in a way, but really bad at it. I think I think it's possible. Like, if I want to go with a theory with him and how he's involved, I would say maybe he did get some photos and then, he utilized both accounts, and maybe he was trying to, blackmail somebody, right? Blackmailing them like, hey, I'm going to, I seen these pictures. And maybe the perpetrator went in to confront, you know, Libby and Abby in this scenario, and took, you know what I mean? Like they were being like he was sextorting people, in my theory.
Yeah, for sure. And we know that we have the testimony of one of his victims, a girl who contacted the ISP department after they made the announcement of the Anthony Shots account. Do you remember that announce? If you know
Yes,
the person. So there was one girl. He contacted law enforcement 2 days after that announcement. And we have the transcript. I made a streaming like the other time about that. And she said that at one point, Kegan Kline switched from the Anthony Shots account to the Emily Ann account. And that was a good strategy to manipulate his victims, because when a girl is talking to another girl, she may feel more comfortable to send nude pictures or stuff like that. You know what I mean? And you were talking also about what you talk about Emily Ann, and you said something I wanted to add. I'm so distracted.
Emily Ann, just looking at the transcripts, right? And then the Anthony Shots account, I think he was using these accounts in multiple different ways. But it was interesting that, he was talking to, other pedophiles that, were actually also acting like they were kids. Or with kids' names, and it's quite interesting. I haven't really followed the Kegan Kline angle that much, but that it's disturbing that footage is gone. Or maybe it's not lost. I don't know, from the Marathon gas station. That is.
Yeah, that was one of the points I wanted to read today, because look, it's really weird to me when we heard or when we read the deposition of Jerry Holman. We have that interaction between Holman and Brad Rozzi about the Marathon gas station, and the story that was sold by law enforcement forever was that the Marathon gas station video was lost or accidentally destroyed by the FBI. And during that interaction, we can see that Holman is telling Brad Rozzi, hey, but according to the FBI, it was your brother, Josh Rozzi, the one who was supposed to collect the video. And Rozzi answered, I saw that statement coming. This is the story of my life.
The story of my life.
Really weird. And I want you, if you have 5 minutes, I want to play that in the interaction.
Absolutely.
Yeah? And then we come back and
Okay.
So I'm gonna play it. Give me just 1 second here. Okay. So let me check the volume. Okay. I think I'm fine now. I'm gonna mute you, Peggy, for a while. Okay, me too. I'm gonna mute myself.
Are there any conflicts between the different agencies about how to proceed with the investigation? Not just one cop and another cop. I'm talking about.
Yeah, I understand your question. Yes, there was.
Tell me about those conflicts.
At some point later in the investigation, the FBI Rich Davis had retired, Mike Peasley had been reassigned, and we really didn't have anybody. We had a couple of people, but they were in and out. switching. And at that point the FBI would come up and say, hey, we're gonna do this, we need this information, and then in return we'll give you this information. Or we would ask, hey, we need to see your report on this or that. And at some point they weren't giving us the information that we were requesting, and so that caused some issues above. Nothing like you said within the investigative team, but it was brought up in briefings in the chain of command, majors, lieutenant colonel. Superintendent found out that there was an issue, particularly trying to get a video I forget what they're called. I want to get the acronym right. But anyway, they had a team come up early on and went around and collected all the surveillance video, documented it, gave us a copy. We were looking for one particular, the Mara Mart or Mini Mart here in Delphi, and we did not get that, and then there was some issues with that.
So there was some tension because of the flow of information wasn't what your team wanted it to be between the two entities?
Correct. And then there was some finger-pointing issues.
Okay. What was the significance of the video from the Mara Mart? Where's the Mara Mart?
I'm sorry.
Was it Mara Mart or Mini Mart?
Prosecutor McClelland?
I think it's out by Monocle's, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That little gas station out there on the right as you go up the hill?
The significance? Yeah.
What was the significance of that? I guess it's worth asking.
Some phone data that someone was searching that location that day, the day of the girls.
Okay. So theoretically somebody was in the parking lot or in the building or somewhere near that site?
No. There was a thumbnail that someone was searching that particular location that we had tips on, and we were trying to find out if they were there utilizing the video, and that's when the finger pointing started.
Did that information in any way was it helpful to your investigation?
Could have been.
Why?
Because we could have been able to verify if that person was actually in Delphi.
Who was that person?
Kegan Kline.
Okay. So I guess I am asking fair questions. So this isn't just this random circumstance that came up. So you were on Kegan Kline's trail, you were wanting to follow up with that, and the FBI wouldn't or couldn't or didn't offer up the information that you were wanting, and it caused tensions between the two agencies. Is that a fair summary?
We have written documentation that they went and collected the hard drive, and they said that your brother, Josh Rozzi, was supposed to collect that.
I knew that was going to happen at some point.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just the story of my life.
So they said Josh Rozzi was supposed to collect that, but Josh Rozzi's role was not going out and collecting video. His role was early on. People would bring phones to him at the command center, and he's a DMRS, certified, so when the superintendent found out they were trying to finger point the state police, and particularly Josh Rozzi, that struck a nerve with him, and we thought that that was very pertinent to the investigation. And when they said that they weren't the ones that went and got it, that we were, and then that caused some issues. And Superintendent Carter stepped in and took care of those issues.
To the best of your knowledge, did he basically tell them you didn't need their assistance anymore?
I think you'd have to ask him, but I think his statement was there's no federal nexus in this, please turn over all your information to the state police and we'll take it from there. You would have to ask him what is exact.
You didn't have that conversation with the people?
No.
But he told you what he said?
He told me.
You're summarizing?
And we ended up getting what we believe is all the information that the FBI had.
What you wanted?
Well, they didn't get that.
Okay. Forgive me for being this is getting a little convoluted for me.
I know. I understand.
So you never did obtain the information that really started this whole conflagration?
No.
Okay.
We attempted to go back, but obviously years later.
Okay. I see. So basically he can speak for himself, but he kind of fired the FBI in a way. I mean, they're not working on your case anymore?
Well, they shouldn't be. If they aren't giving us information.
You're not communicating with any FBI officers about this case?
I communicate with them. Occasionally they'll send us tips that they receive, so I'm assuming if they're sending us those tips, that they're not involved in the case.
When did this all happen? Just give me a time frame.
Right around COVID, so 2021.
And they haven't been part of Unified Command since then, I guess is maybe a better way of putting it?
No. And they hadn't been part of Unified Command since Rich Davis retired and Mike Peasley left. I don't know when that was. That would have been 1920, somewhere in there.
Were there ever any discussions amongst the unified command or extension of the group about concerns about how the FBI handled the investigation when they were initially involved?
We had concerns that we weren't getting information. You know, it was like pulling teeth to get a report in their 302s, I think they're called. But there was concerns that we weren't getting information that we needed to help, I guess. But as far as the investigation, I think they did a fine job. It's just sharing the information we were having issues with.
So some of this incident or circumstance which prompted Superintendent Carter to pull the plug was also precipitated by some other smaller or less significant issues?
Yes.
They were kind of similar, frankly. Flow of information?
Yes.
Okay. Were any of those problems related to the processing of the statement Richard Allen gave to Lieutenant Captain Doolin?
No.
Doug Carter, what role did he play in all this?
What's that?
What role did Doug Carter have in this investigation?
Superintendent of the State Police. I mean, he was in front of every camera, and that's okay, it's a job. He's very passionate.
What role did he play in the investigation itself, kind of the nuts and bolts?
Zero in the actual investigation. His role as the superintendent to give us the manpower, resources and funding that we need to conduct the investigation. Now he's very passionate. It's not uncommon for him to show up at major crime scenes, officer-involved shootings, anything like that. He's shown up at ones that we've worked, just shows up, hey, what do you need? So it's not uncommon for him, he's very passionate about it. But his role as far as the investigation is zero. He's not an investigator. His role is as the superintendent. He makes sure that the state police is providing the necessary resources, manpower.
Okay, so what do you think about that, Peggy? Let's start by the interaction between Holman and Rozzi about the Marathon gas station video. To me, it's really weird that they're talking about his brother in that specific interrogation. To me, it's just weird. So the story that was sold by law enforcement always was that the FBI destroyed or accidentally lost the Marathon gas station video. Now, I'm not so sure about that. We have now Josh Rozzi, the brother of Brad Rozzi, on the table. He was the one supposed to collect the video according to the FBI. So they are finger pointing one to each other. It's really special, and I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about that first.
Yeah. I had to take a couple drinks going through there. Yeah, so I guess really the counter of this is how difficult could it be to find out who told the FBI, right? That what is his name? Was it Brad or Josh? Josh, right?
Josh Rozzi, yeah.
Like who told the FBI that? Like that would be my number one priority. I don't believe this story whatsoever. I think that he's lying about that. That's the way I see it. I don't trust anything that man says.
Holman or Rozzi?
Holman.
I don't trust Holman at all, but I don't trust Rozzi either. And to me, yeah, I agree with you. Holman is a liar. We know that he lied under oath. We have a couple of examples about that. But I didn't like the reaction of Brad Rozzi. I was expecting something like, what are you talking about? But I was expecting that. So he knew Holman would ask or would say that sentence. So to me, it felt like an attack from Holman to Rozzi.
Yes, that's the way
I didn't see Rozzi being like, he was not bothered about that. I would expect another type of reaction. Because that, and why do I say that? Because I think that there is a conflict of interest in terms of the strategy that the defense used to try to defend his client. I know that no third party was allowed to be part of the process because Gall, she caught the Odinist suspects, the Kegan Kline's Angle, Ron Logan. The defense at the end, they couldn't use any other suspect or additional suspect to try to create more reasonable doubt to defend
Right.
Richard Allen. But in my opinion, all the efforts that were put by the defense before the trial itself were put into the Odinism angle. And to me, that was a really bad strategy. Now, I think if the defense would concentrate or focus more in the Kegan Kline's angle, they would success at one point to put Kegan as one of the suspects in the process to create a nexus. But they didn't care about that. They forgot 100% the Kline's angle, the Logan's angle, and they focused on the Odinist theory, which, in my opinion, is just designed to fail. No one is going to buy that, even if that is the right situation here. Let's say they were the Odinists, the one who committed this crime. Even if that's the case, no one is going to buy that. You can create more reasonable doubt if you use the Kegan Kline's angle, in my opinion. Now here, what is the problem?
Or Ron Logan.
Or Ron Logan, exactly, 100%. And what is the problem here? Brad Rozzi's associate, Ashley, if I recall properly his name, he was one of the lawyers of the Rozzi's firm, and he was representing Kegan Kline and Ron Logan. So it's clearly a conflict of interest here. It's like Rozzi and Baldwin, they didn't want to put Kegan and Logan in that whole process just because it was not in favor of their own interest. If you have an associate that is representing Kegan Kline and Ron Logan, it's very weird to me that they were focused on the Odinism angle only. So this is not, it's fishy, you know? It's fishy. I don't trust Holman, I don't trust McClellan, the prosecution, but I don't trust the defense at all. And now that we know that we have Josh Rozzi on the scope, if you put all of those elements together and we have the Marathon gas station video lost by magic, I don't know. It's food for speculation here. So I don't know. Let me know, what do you think about this?
Well, so wasn't it that Aki, is that his name? He represented Kegan Kline, right? But wasn't that after he left the firm? I might have that incorrect. I thought it was after he left the firm. So it used to be Rosie, was it? I'm looking at my notes here. Rosie, Araji, Hills, and Aki, but didn't Aki leave?
Aki, yeah.
But Ron Logan, I think he did handle as a client of the firm. But I'm not, sure like how, I don't know a lot about, conflicts of interest. I would think if it was a client of the firm, then,
yeah,
that is a conflict, right? Because it's like, unless there's a special arrangement, but I would think that, it's not, if you're in a partnership with the firm, it's, and a partner leaves, it's still the firm's client.
Yeah, they were partners before, but there's a connection there.
Yeah, there is a connection there.
So I understand Michael Osbrook here. Aki was not partner of Rossi's when Aki was representing Kline, but there's a clear connection there. So we do connections in other scenarios that are really far-fetched. This one, I don't see it far-fetched. To me, I just don't understand how the defense, they didn't push either the Logan strategy, Logan's angle or the Kegan Kline's angle as part of their strategy, and they concentrated in the audience. The angle is designed to fail. It's like they were acting against Richard Allen. It just makes me mad because you could success if you use a different strategy that makes really
Or
sense.
not even that, like, not to interrupt, but it's like, I think it more like organized crime, focusing on like, this is a prison gang, you know, the organization of that. I think, you know, I mean, it could be true, but I think if you're trying to sell something, right, I think you would be more influential if you kind of leave that out, some components of that out, because, you know, you got to consider the location of where, it's Carroll County, Indiana. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
Know your audience, but I mean, I think at the same time, I mean, they did see a lot of crazy stuff with it, you know, going into that prison and seeing the guards, you know, with tattoos and all that. Like, I can definitely see why they were leaning in that direction. But I think if they would have maybe sold it a different way,
exactly,
it might have been more successful.
Exactly. The way they sold the story, it feels like if you come back to the 70s or to the 80s, the time of the satanic panic, it feels the same. They were using the wrong wording, in my opinion. They were selling the story in the wrong way, in my opinion. If they were talking about a gang of supremacists, something like that, but they were focused in the ritualistic situation, let's say. So to me, that was just a strategy that was designed to fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree with that. But can we go back to the whole the lost or missing footage from this marathon? I mean, I know I already said this, but I just feel like, you know, he says a couple things in this, you know, deposition, right? One is that, you know, that his brother, Brad Rozzi's brother, was supposed to get this, right? And then there's also mention of why they were, an explanation of why the FBI was told to leave. And one of them, you know, a talking point of Doug Carter was there's no federal nexus. I thought that was very interesting, because if you go back to Ron Logan, why did the FBI complete the search warrant paperwork for that? Like, why would the FBI do that? That is very interesting to me. And then there was, like they said, there was a lack of communication. Well, my question is how many, you know, I can't imagine, like, let me go back. The Unified Command wasn't like it was hundreds of people. So how many people would have had access to the FBI to then mislead them and say that Brad Rozzi's brother went to go pick it up? Because, I mean, if he's a phone guy, like they say in here, in Holman's own words, why would he be picking up a video or a CD? I don't know what medium, you know, this tape or whatever recording's on, but I do think that he wasn't surprised by it. So he might have read something, a report, and, you know, because, like, isn't that a thing, like with attorneys, you never ask a question you don't know the answer for?
100%. But look, if I want to be malicious here, I can create a really bad conspiracy theory that maybe is not that crazy. Let's say Aki is representing Kegan Kline, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So maybe if Josh Rozzi, who is the brother of Brad Rozzi, if Brad Rozzi tells Josh, hey, you are supposed to go to collect that video, right? But that's not going to be in favor of the outcome um, we are expecting for the the whole process of Kegan Kline, just make that evidence disappear. The marathon gas station, so like that, they
Yeah.
cannot put Kegan Kline in in Delphi at the time of the murders. I know I'm being very extreme in that, but this is food for conspiracy. You know what I mean? The connections are there. There's a conflict of interest, in my opinion, and maybe it's nothing. Maybe he didn't even went to collect that video, but I don't know. It's just that it feels weird that Rozzi was like, I don't know, expecting that statement and he didn't counterattack. Yeah, I was expecting that. It's the story of my life. What does it even mean? It's the story of my life.
Bad luck.
Is it? Don't tell me this is not weird, huh? I don't know. I
It's like
maybe
Murphy's
reading
Law.
Oh, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it for real. I don't know. I don't understand.
I mean,
And
think about it though. What's the odds,
what the odds?
that yeah. I don't know. I feel like Holman was kind of trolling him, if that's the right way to say that, in the back and forth. And isn't he the same deposition where they try to bring up Kegan Kline and what his name really means? Maybe I'm mixing it up, but like I just felt like they were trying to pull. So it was like pulling teeth to get any information. And if Holman's supposed to be the lead investigator here, he didn't have like any answers to anything. It was like he was purposely withholding information. I don't know if that's a common thing. I haven't been in that position to on either side, obviously, but I think it is a possibility that he was just saying that. I just don't trust him.
No, I agree 100%. And V says, why would a cop and a lawyer risk their careers and reputation for Kegan Kline, though? It happens all the time. The lawyers and the cops, they risk their reputations all the time. And again, to me, there's something in that Dropbox
There
that
is, I think. Yep.
that could be the explanation for all of this situation that is happening here. So I don't know.
Right. I mean, like when it comes to federal nexus, right? I mean, I think there was a struggle between the two, because they were pursuing the Kegan Kline angle for CSAM. And I think that Holman wanted to get that in there. Like there's no federal nexus, meaning there's no connection. But I mean, again, what's the odds of that?
Exactly.
Like
100%.
yeah.
Do you know?
I'd like to see, like, not listen, but like, what are they not saying? To me, that's more telling.
Exactly. And what are they not telling? I loved that sentence you just said. And if I come back to the beginning of this show, when we were talking about the crime scene, the Brits guy, etc. I agree with you. You were talking about gaps in the timeline of the state, and I think that we really don't know what happened after that video was taken in the bridge. There are a lot of major gaps in the timeline of the state. So what are they hiding? Do they really know what happened? And if they don't know, that's why they try to fit that narrative to make Richard Allen the only perpetrator here. Or do they know something and they are avoiding to tell us what is the rest of the information? You know what I mean?
Well, both can be true too.
Exactly.
I think the fact that what they're doing with the court records right now, I think if you have a solid case, you're gonna put everything out there to shut everyone up. 100%. So I lean more towards they do know, but I don't think they know to the point of what we may think they know. You know what I mean? They just didn't follow up on things because, like, for one to gather information, you have to look for it, and it didn't seem like they were looking at all. I mean, even if we look at the whole Betsy Blair thing, I know I keep on talking about that, but 2019, if you look at that whole investigation, the report that Liggett completed, it's like there's no time listed. There's a date of the incident, but there's no timeline where, there's not a to and from time when she's seen this vehicle. And that's why they went out in this press release and said 12 to 5. Like, how hard would it have been to figure, you look at her Fitbit, like, and still, like, 2 years later, they're having her, do a, drawing of this vehicle. Like, you didn't do that for the last 2 years? Like, what were you doing? It's just, it does make me very suspicious. Like, they didn't want to know an answer because it's something nefarious.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. And what do you think if I play another extract? This time I'm gonna play a section of a video that JSD Justice Servdale she made about the potential conflict of interest between the Rozzi's firm and the Klines, and I'm gonna go for a drink while playing that. So coming back soon. Sounds good?
Yes, sounds good. Here. There's no. We can't hear.
Reese Davis, who was at the Newcastle.
Sorry, don't tell me that I was not playing the video. No sound? Oh, this is the story of my life. I'm going to paraphrase. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. So I'm gonna repeat that. Sorry. Next time, tell me faster. Sorry for that. That was the silent moment of the show. So Let's do it again. Sorry, everyone.
Necessary resources, manpower.
All right, Justice Warriors, I wanted to share something with you. So while Ron Logan in 2017 was found out that he was driving when he wasn't supposed to be, and he went to ask his cousin to say he was driving him rather than he was driving, which violated his probation. And he went to court in front of Judge Curtis Fouts. This is April 3rd, 2017 hearing that I'm showing. And at the time, Ron Logan's attorney was Andrew Akey. Well, when Kegan Kline was arrested, his attorney from when he first got arrested in 2020, which was in August when he first got arrested, all the way up until he was sentenced, which was not till the end of 2022, Andrew Akey was Kegan Kline's attorney as well. So what does that mean? Andrew Akey has his own law firm. He's his own law firm in Logansport, Indiana. Prior to this, though, he was a partner at Hills and Rozzi and Akey in Logansport. So he was in the same legal firm with Brad Rozzi, Richard Allen's attorney. So we have that while he was still under the same partnership with Brad Rozzi, Andrew Akey was representing Ron Logan. Now, Ron Logan went into jail in April of 2017. So Reese Davis, who was at the Newcastle facility, right, the Newcastle prison, jail, private operated, where Kegan Kline was moved to quietly. News didn't cover it. I covered that, wondering why news never covered that after his appeal, and he was waiting for his appeal, he gets moved over to this facility. Well, that is where Ricky Davis is, and that is also where Ron Logan had went to jail for a while. Now, he didn't serve out his whole term because they let him go home. But Ricky Davis is basically saying that Ron Logan goes in there in April of 2017 and turns around a few weeks later in May of 2017 and tells Ricky Davis, I committed this murder and here's all the details for it. Now, they are no longer, Akey and Rozzi are no longer under the same firm. But obviously they know each other very well to be legal partners together in there. A little interesting, I'll put it that way, that Richard Allen's attorney was partners with Ron Logan's attorney and Kegan Kline's attorney for two guys who were under the same firm together.
I agree with her. It's very interesting, at the least. Any thoughts about that, Peggy?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of overlap there, and as far as the different attorneys and people involved. It is interesting. Something to definitely look it further into, at the very least.
Okay, she's my favorite word here in this case is fishy. Every single piece of information I learn, there's something fishy there. So, anyways,
Yeah, I think maybe it's also because it's just like this the whole thing is like this, and maybe I become numb to some of it. I mean, you do bring up some good points there as far as like it is fishy. Yeah, something to look into further, at the very least.
at the very least, you just said. Anyways, it's a crazy case, huh? It's insane. Yeah, in that section of the video, we have in the same mixer Rossi, Ake, Rizzy Davis, Logan, Klein. It's oh my god, the connections are like everywhere here. Is at one point I don't know. Sometimes I prefer to watch this case like from far away to try to see the whole picture because when you go really into the details, I don't know if you understand. It's just
No, I mean, yeah. I'm curious too, like how many attorneys are in that area. Like if you want to think of like conflict of interest, which is interesting, is like McClellan. He was a defense attorney for quite a while, and if you can go into that Odyssey or whatever it's called, and just put him as the attorney of record to search the cases, because I wanted to see what type of cases he handled, who what the people and all that, and it's like how many cases he had excused himself from it was huge, where they had to get a special prosecutor, or go into the further counties, and I get it, like you can't, that's definitely a conflict. You can't be the defense attorney and then go over, but a lot of it was family too, the family members of him and the people that he knows. It was nuts.
100%. And I think there's a connection with the family of Nick McClelland and Ron Logan. There's some family connection there. I don't know, and Kathy Shank as well. Anyways, it's interesting. I don't know. That's why I wanted to talk to you. Do you have like an additional comment in that area, or not really?
It's just something stinks in Delphi, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot, because like I lived in this, somewhat close, and it's alarming the amount of pedophiles that are in that area.
I used to joke about Delphi by saying that the Twin Peaks is a joke compared to Delphi, and I don't want to disrespect anyone from the Delphi's area, but for real, it's just insane. It's like unreal, surreal. It's crazy, crazy. Anyways, I don't know.
Have you ever looked into Nick McClelland's family history?
I was at one time, but I really forgot. If I recall properly, there's a connection between him and or his family and Logan.
Yeah, and also, well, the girl, which one was it? I know it was was it Abby? But one of the girls, I can't. But like also just like his father. So like his father he's been in and out of prison, and then I get it. Like you can't control who your parents are. But also like he was let out pretty quickly. Like I don't know what the normal probation process is in Indiana, but it seemed like he didn't serve as much time, like not even half of the time that he was assigned. So his like father was an arsonist.
Oh,
Yeah, like there was some insurance going, and like I think too. So and Nick McClelland's, I think it's the grandmother, was on the. She was a trustee in Deer Creek.
so you're going to the Flora's situation here, maybe a connection there or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a Flora connection with. I know there is in other areas when you look at the Carroll County, the commissioners and everything, but like with him, it's like his grandmother stepped down suddenly off of the township as the trustee, and I was looking at all the different auditors, like the state audit findings, and
Mhm.
there was some red flags issued, with more particularly with the rent. She's supposed to like declare the rent on the taxes, and she suddenly stepped down. But then I started looking at the conflicts of interest to see what the conflicts of interest forms are, because like all the McClellands were, a lot of them were being paid by the township. So Nick McClelland's father, the husband of, I can't think of her name right now. I have it somewhere. Her husband was being paid. His name is Clint McClelland.
Mhm.
And then Nick McClelland's brother. I mean, like all the McClellands were working there at some point, and I guess you're supposed to have a resolution. So anytime you're on, a township or a city council, anytime you pay anyone, you have to pass a resolution, and it didn't seem like that was occurring. So I thought that was really interesting.
100%. I'm gonna cut. I'm gonna cut the flow here, Peggy. But I remembered the question I wanted to ask you. It's not even a question. It's a comment. Sorry, but it came to my mind again. Fuck! Finally, when you were talking about the bridge guy, the bridge, the area of the crime scene, you were telling something about. Hey, people are gonna hear something there. You know what I mean? People are.
Mhm.
This is not that silent. If you scream, you're gonna hear something, especially at that time of the year.
Mhm.
And why that was interesting to me, your comment, it's because last week I made a video about Max Snowberger, and he played a video. He was crossing a small creek, like in March, I think. It was not even February, and he was screaming like a girl because the water was really cold. So when you
Okay, yeah.
go into that creek, you are because it's really cold. It's not only because the
Mhm.
situation is not just because you're scared, you're gonna scream. It's because if you enter into the
Yeah.
water, you're gonna scream like crazy because it's really cold. And your comment just made that connection into my mind, and now I recalled it. I remember that. Sorry to cut the flow, but I
No,
had
no,
to say
no.
it because
I was just wondering.
I was trying to remember my question. Fuck. Now I got it. Sorry for that.
No, 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 no. That's a good point. I would think that would be a natural reaction too. But like, why didn't anyone hear? Even if you remove the creek crossing, if they were still in the area, right? Like you can hear. I watched videos of other people. I think one of them was Frosty did one where he was, and he can hear somebody on the bridge, and they weren't even loud. It's just the way, like it's the acoustics of like the whole bowl area, like that the sound does echo. And I think like that the whole thing too is like somebody had to hear something, if they did remain in the area, but
Yeah.
so I don't know, like I only can think that it's a logical explanation that they cross, but it just could be that they didn't. Could be the true too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's not.
I don't know if you guys in the chat, you take the shower with cold water or with hot water. I take it with hot water. I cannot go into the cold water
No.
because I'm gonna scream like a little girl. So I imagine
Uh-huh.
those girls crossing the creek at, I
Uh-huh.
don't know what was the temperature of the water at the time. You're gonna scream. You're gonna, oh, this is gonna be so cold. Someone is gonna hear you. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, too,
And
like adrenaline. I mean, I could see like that being a counter argument with that, but I would think that they would have definitely screamed. That's my thoughts on it.
yeah, I agree with you. Uh, I don't know. I'm like running out of questions, Peggy. Do you have any question, or do you want just maybe stop the live tonight and we're gonna do like a part two soon, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, either or. I'm indifferent. I've seen a lot of good comments within the chat. The chat's popping right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here. I'm trying to. Hey guys, please ask some questions to Peggy. Or do you have any question for me, Peggy? I don't know.
No,
Like
it's just
that.
that I've been watching you and following you. I think I understand where you are with the whole Kegan Kline angle and everything. But let's say like if Kegan Kline is not involved at all, would you still think that there was more than one person involved in this? We remove Kegan Kline out of the equation.
Yeah, for sure. Just the nature of the crime scene, the nature of the injuries. We know that there were no defensive injuries in on
Mm-hmm.
the girls. That to me is really special. The fact that the girls were treated differently.
Yeah.
Uh, we have to. We don't have, but the story now is that the murder weapon was a box cutter, and that seems to be like a strategy to try to explain why the injuries were so different,
Yeah.
because what we were thinking before is okay, the nature of the injuries indicate that there were multiple weapons,
Mm-hmm.
because the injuries are really different at one point. So uh, maybe there were two weapons involved in the crime. That means potentially multiple perpetrators.
Right.
As you were saying before, the way the girls were disposed in that crime scene, totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Abby was like, she got all the rage from the perpetrators. Abby, she was treated better. To me,
Mm-hmm.
what's that difference there? I don't know. Even if we go with the Richard Allen's statements, which I know this is not very popular, but remember that when he was being transported to one of the jail facilities, whatever, he
Uh-huh.
said that he felt sorry for Abby. He didn't say he felt sorry for Libby. So I don't know. It's even if the clients are not involved in the case, which I really think is unlikely. To me, is the anyways, and maybe I'm very. I have tunnel vision. Maybe I can accept that. Let's say, but when I connect the dots, the clients are the solution of this puzzle. The again, the holy grail, the explanation here is the Dropbox of
Yeah.
Kegan Klines. But let's say, for the sake of the discussion, I'm wrong, and I'm maybe wrong. The clients are not involved. For sure, there were multiple perpetrators. This crime was not committed by one single person. It's clear
And that's
as
what they believed. They believed that there was more than one, you know, all this time. And then all of a sudden they find Richard Allen, and it's like, it's either, especially with the sealing of the probable cause in the documents, right? It's like you were investigating somebody, if we're going to believe you, or you were just gaslighting everyone. I don't know which one is worse, but I'm leaning towards more than like, probably both are true, actually.
And yeah, no, I agree with you. Anyways, this is just insane. This case is just insane.
It is. It is. It's the most bizarre case I've ever followed. That's for sure. But you know, again, if they would just release everything,
There's
you
a
know.
lot of how can I polemic, let's say. What are your thoughts in regards of the timing Brad Weber arrived to his property? Do you think that is an indication of a gap in the timeline of the state? Because I really believe when I connect, when I see that that situation may be related to the Wi-Fi connection, it doesn't align with the state theory here. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think the reason why they threw that in there was not necessarily to pinpoint a timeline. It was to explain the girls crossing the creek, or them all crossing, because that doesn't make sense, right? It's especially with their theory that he got interrupted, right? Like, if you're going to do something like that, why wouldn't you cross the creek first, knowing that there's a driveway right there? But as far as like his credibility, I don't believe this at all, because like there's been people that have like talked to the Webbers that said that he didn't get home until like, what was it, 3:30? I've heard, or later, and then we got home, and he even states in the deposition that
Exactly.
it's like, okay, so now what do we have here? We have Nick McClellan bringing somebody on the stand that is going to lie. That is crazy.
Yeah, that statement from Holman about Brad Weber's is really special. So yeah, I think they were just trying to force the whole Brad Weber's arrival timing, to try to explain their timeline. But now we know that there is a major gap there.
Yeah, that too is like, what was Monica Walla feeding Richard Allen while he was in prison? Or doesn't that feel weird? It's like so weird to say he was in prison as a pretrial detainee, first of all. But like, what were they feeding him? I've heard rumors out there that there was a leak of information in the prison at Westville about what Richard Allen's status was, about him banging his head against the wall.
Do you think Walla was feeding information to Allen?
I think a bunch of people were, to be honest with you. I think Walla, like, it would make most sense that it was Walla, because she had an interest in this case, so she knows a lot of details. But I wouldn't put it past these guys to, have people feed, even the guards that they put outside of his door. I mean, come on, that is just not normal. That is absolutely insane to have guards posted outside, like somebody who's somebody's door. I mean, if we want to look at it, he was being interrogated. He probably was being interrogated the whole time he was there. Who knows what they said to him?
100%. I agree with you. I think the confessions are really questionable. And when I try to wrap up, if we can say that, the whole case, at the end, I think that the main element for the jurors to give that verdict, the guilt verdict to Richard Allen, the main element was the confession. I think so. And when I see the whole context, to me, the confessions were questionable for real.
I think too, just to add on that, is just the whole not allowing, was it the FBI to come in and testify that Brad Weber told him something else. Like, to me, that is more like, this is cut and dry. I'm not an attorney, but like it's not like you have to prove much right there. Judge Gull, did she make an error of not allowing that witness to testify remotely, right? I mean, because he had like two legitimate reasons. One is that he was ill,
Of
and there
course.
is a provision to allow somebody to testify. I mean, look at that. They did that whole time with COVID, but now it's not okay.
Exactly.
And then you have something very patriotic, like who can be against somebody that I don't know exactly what he did. What was he like, an election he was involved in the election process essentially. So he had an obligation, and he was doing a patriotic act. So why why couldn't you be flexible there? So to me, that is like crazy. What if he did testify and said, no, Brad Weber never said he came home at that time? I think that would blow their whole case.
100%, 100%. And I think that I don't know anything about the legal processes or legal situations, but when I try to make sense of what is going to be the strategy to try to overturn the verdict during the appealing process, what can the lawyers do to be successful? And the only thing I can see now, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, I can see that there was a lot of perjury during the process. If the appealing attorneys are able to demonstrate that, of course, we know that the due process of Richard Allen was not respected, in my opinion, but also if they can demonstrate that there were perjury in that original process, that could be the key to release Richard Allen. I don't know. What do you think?
I think so. I agree there. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. Let's wait. Anyways, this is like a never-ending story, because there's a lot of unanswered questions. That's why we are trying to figure out stuff to obtain the answers. It's just like a movie, You have YouTubers working.
Make this shit up.
It's a fucking movie. You have YouTubers working with law enforcement, pushing one narrative. It's like Twin Peaks. This is just crazy, man.
It's
Coincidences
funny.
here, coincidence there. It's just insane. It blows your mind, huh?
It's like every aspect of this case. It's like, it's nuts. I could totally see why you could go down all these different rabbit holes. Like, pick one, like throw a dart at this point, Yeah. I'm sure you're going to land on something. It's funny. I had my parents over here. We were watching the Bears game on Sunday. First place. But anyway, I was catching them up about the case, and they're really not, they don't lean towards this way. They don't gravitate towards, there's not a lot of gray. It's black and white. And my mom's been following more. She watches all my YouTube videos. But anyway, it was just like a huge talking point. They're like, I can't believe this. Like, they think Judge Gull's in on it. And I'm like, whoa, that's a big reach here. Because I don't, I think she's like very biased, but they went as far as saying that. And I was like, that's huge for my parents. It really is.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know, Peggy. I think maybe it's gonna be good for tonight. I enjoyed a lot the conversation with you. I think there was a good chemistry here, and with the chat as well. And maybe we can do something together later. What do you mean? What do you think?
That would be fun. Absolutely.
Even if in your channel, if you want.
Yeah, I'm not a chess player, so.
Come on! I'm so
I know
disappointed.
how to play dominoes and spades.
We can do that.
Like 4 people for spades.
I'm so disappointed. Come on.
Oh, I know gin rummy.
Let's do it. Why not?
All right.
It's gonna be fun for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
And guys in the chat, please subscribe to Peggy. She's
Thank
great.
you.
And yeah, let's stay in touch.
Okay,
So
yeah. All
please, guys, hit the like before leaving. Thank you so much.
right,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.